This lesson is about exponents, what they are and how they are used. We've all used shortened forms of words. For example, bike is short for bicycle. Email is short for electronic mail. Flu is short for influenza. And gym is short for gymnasium. Even our numbering system is a shortcut. The symbols that we use represents quantities. So the symbol 1 represents the quantity of 1. The symbol 2 represents the quantity of 2. And symbol 3 represents quantity of 3, etc. Our mathematical operations also have shortcuts. How about repeated addition? Repeated addition is when you add the same number to itself over and over again a certain number of times. In this example, 8 is added to itself 4 times, which is where we get the shortcut of 8 times 4. 8 is written down 4 times. 8 times 4 is 32. So 8 times 4 is a shortcut for the repeated addition of 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8. In this example, 6 plus 6 plus 6, that's repeated addition. And the shortcut for that would be written as 6 times 3. The 6 is written down 3 times. 3 times 6 is 18. But what about repeated multiplication? When we look at this example, we have 3 times 3 equals 9. Is there a shortcut for representing 3 times 3 equals 9? Yes, there is. We use exponents. In this case, the 3 is the base. That's the number that's being multiplied. And the 2 is the exponent. That's the number of times the base is being multiplied by itself. It's the number of times the base is used as a factor. And now the way to read this is 3 to the second power. 3 is our base, 2 is our exponent. 3 to the second power equals 9. Let's try another one. Here we have 5 times 5 times 5 equals 125. Yes, there is a shortcut way of writing this multiplication problem, and it's using exponents. If you recall from the previous slide, the base is the number that's being multiplied to itself. In this case, the base is 5. And our exponent is how many times 5 is used as a factor. And 5 is up there 3 times. So 5 to the third power equals 125. In this example, we have 2 to the fourth power, and we want to calculate what that is. What 2 to the fourth power means is 2 is our base, and it's used as a factor 4 times. So I write down 2 4 times. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, multiplied it out, and it equals 16. Now let's look at that same information, but we'll look at it in 3 different forms. Now 2 to the fourth is in exponential form because it uses exponents. When we write that out, when we turn 2 to the fourth back to a multiplication problem, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, what we've done is we've represented it in the expanded form. And when we actually solve the problem and get an answer, 16, that is written in standard form. In this example, we have 3 to the second power. Now we know our base is 3, and we know that we use 3 as a factor twice, so it's 3 times 3 equals 9. There's another way of saying 3 to the second power, and it has everything to do with this picture here. Whenever we multiply a number by itself, we can visually represent it by using a square. It's 3 units long by 3 units wide. So 3 by 3. And as you notice, it cuts that square up into smaller squares. So if you can remember that, another way of saying a number raised to the second power is by calling it a number squared. In this case, it would be 3 squared. Now, if you had 4 to the second power, it would be 4 squared, because it would be a square that is 4 units long and 4 units wide. 6 to the second power is 6 squared, etc. Anytime your exponent is a 2, another way to say that is that it is a number squared. And in this final example, we have 4 to the third power. Once again, 4 is our base, and we use it as a factor 3 times. 4 times 4 times 4 equals 64. But there's another way of saying 4 to the third power, and it's based on this picture here. See, when you've got a power of 3, you're using 3 measurements: a length, a width, and a height. And when you're measuring a cube with those 3 measurements, you've got the length is 4 units, the width is 4 units, and the height is 4 units. We're creating a cube with those measurements. So anytime you raise something to the third power, another way of saying it is that you've cubed it. So 4 to the third power, it can also be called 4 cubed. Any number raised to the third power would be cubed. Well, I've hoped you've learned a thing or two about exponents.